thing to remember when we're talking about recruiting and engaging youth volunteers is just like we do with adult volunteers, we have to recruit to retain them. We have to think about when we're first starting to identify who could serve as a volunteer, how we're going to give them a positive experience so that they want to stick around. So just like adults, the same applies for youth. As you're looking for youth to serve as volunteers, giving them a positive experience, motivating them from the start so that once we recruit them, they want to continue to serve as a volunteer for our program. So the second thing to remember when it comes to working with youth volunteers is that we have to train and equip them. They may not be an expert or have gone through a multi-day, many hours of training, some type of workshop. So they do need some kind of training and resources to be able to go out and facilitate programs on behalf of Extension. So it's very critical that we come up with a plan to train our youth volunteers, as well as giving them the resources and equipping them to carry out their volunteer responsibilities. Next, we want to make sure that our youth volunteers are truly engaged and empowered in the program and all processes that are involved in program facilitation. So when youth are serving as volunteers, once they've been recruited and they have their position, if they're out educating, if they're serving as youth ambassadors, if they're helping with a service project, whatever that might be, we want to be sure that we truly are engaging them and empowering them, giving them the opportunity to utilize their leadership skills and the knowledge that they've gained through training in order to truly serve as a volunteer. And one thing that we should never forget when it comes to youth volunteers is their capabilities. They have just as many capabilities as, say, an adult volunteer. We should never underestimate their power and abilities that they have to help serve others. When working with youth volunteers, communication is key. They want to be in the know, they need to be informed, but they also like feedback and like to know how they're doing as a volunteer and to know what's going on. And they also want to know that they can come to the volunteer administrator or their advisor for feedback or if they have a question. So in order to really engage them and retain them and keep them enthusiastic about their role as a volunteer and providing leadership to a project, it's really critical that the lines of communication are open. That is key. The last thing that's very important to remember is rewarding and recognizing youth volunteers. We all like to be rewarded and recognized for what we do. It may not always be a plaque, a certificate, or some type of ribbon, but youth really thrive on that positive reinforcement and feedback. So a pat on the back, a good job, even letting them know the impact they're making, how many people have they served, what kind of behavior changes or attitude changes are we seeing in clientele because of some education they're providing or because of a service project they led. Youth really enjoy seeing the outcomes of what they're doing, and so recognizing them will definitely lead to further motivating them and retaining them as a youth volunteer.